Yenzera, solo ekadendendo yenzera.
Welcome to another episode of Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and Beyond. Here is your host Antonella Bargione. With me today we have Hope Masike. Before we go to Hope Masike, I just want to remind you, if you already don't know, that we are inviting here people coming from all walks of life who are making a difference to their community, so that we believe that they're making a difference to the world. So today, as I said, with me there is Hope Masike. Welcome.
Hello, Antonella. Thank you for having me.
So many of you know already Hope Masike. She's been in the music business for already 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
Yes, so you've grown into it.
Yes.
I remember when she started.
I did a concert here, right here, in fact.
Yes, we are at the Mira Center.
Yes.
And more than once. And so she's traveled. She's tried to bring Mbira with many different musical genres and to merge them. So she's really searching and researching.
Yes.
And she's not only searching in music, but life now, and what's happening to her, and now we're gonna know it, is gonna she started a search also in a different way, a search towards herself.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I didn't say, this year she published a poetry book, Ask Me Again. It's quite strong book about women issue and the condition of women in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect most is autobiographical.
Quite a lot of it is, quite a lot of it.
So we're gonna hear some
of it, yes.
Some of it too. So Hope,
Yes.
what's happening? Because from music to, what's happening?
It's not really any shift. I'm still in music.
Yes.
and poetry, but it's just like, as you correctly called it, searching. And when you search deeper within yourself, it edifies to the music and the poetry. So it's still an extension of me, my life, and my artwork. And what led me to this search was, you know how they say turn lemons into lemonade, or they say turn your mess into a message, your test into a testimony. They have a lot of nice phrases for all of that. But that's exactly what I decided to do with my life. I have decided that any problem that dares come into my life, that dares befall me, is supposed to profit me and other people one way or the other. That's the only way we can manage problems, I think. So this challenge that befell me is or are fibroids. And I've had them for quite a while now. And you know, when you first get diagnosed of fibroids, if they're still small, then the usual advice is it's okay, they're not causing any discomfort, or you don't want to have children yet, so you can completely ignore them or try to control them. But if they're not yet causing any problem, no surgery is needed and all that. So I've had them for quite a while. But then they keep growing because they're feeding on whatever they're feeding. And beginning of this, in fact, last 3 years, then I've been really struggling with them because they've been growing, and it means that discomfort has been growing, etc., etc. So this problem has led me to looking for all sorts of remedies / treatments, from the scientific definition of the problem and its scientific solutions to the whole holistic approach of healing. And that led me to discovering Antonella and the work that she does. I've known her for years, but I didn't know about the work that she does. So this is the search, and this is the journey that I am on currently. Yes.
Before we go into that, just tell her, because the way you came out, I found it totally fascinating, and I found, wow, the girl has got courage. So what happened? How did it happen that you went public? Because you really brought it to public, because there's so much shame
Yes,
for women, especially in this country where to have children, I mean, in every country really, but to have children is really very important for the community.
Yeah.
So,
how I decided to come out with my issue was I'm a creative, so I decided to be creative about it.
Very creative.
And also, why waste a problem? Like I said, if you can profit from it, then why waste the problem? While solving it, look at every corner of it and see how it can benefit you and other people. So I chose a fun way of telling my following that I had fibroids, and also of disseminating one of the most important messages that I wanted to put across, that every time you see a woman with a big belly, don't always assume she eats unhealthy, she's not exercising, or she's pregnant for that matter. There's a lot of things that happen to women, that happen to our bodies. So body shaming when it comes to women can be very detrimental, because there's a lot of things happening with women. So I chose that route. I posted a photo. Right now my belly is flat. It happens. I still have the fibroids, but there are times of the month when it blots like crazy, and then I look like I am 6 months pregnant even. So I took a photo in my house while I looked 6 months pregnant, and then I posted it. I did not say I was pregnant. I never lied. But I just said big announcement loading. Then I posted the photo, and I got a lot of congratulatory messages from friends, all well-meaning, of course, and it was wonderful. I felt the love, in fact, and it was great. And then a day or two later, then I posted a video explaining that I wasn't pregnant at all, but in fact I had fibroids. And a lot of people understood completely, and a lot of people were like, oh, I'm sorry, I just immediately thought you were pregnant and all. And of course some people took offense, and they thought, celebrities will do anything to get more followers and stuff. They are entitled to their opinion. But I think the strategy worked. I got people's attention, and then by the time I announced that I had fibroids, I had a lot of people on my pages, so the message got to a lot more people. Yeah, and ever since it's been a journey. I've been posting bit by bit about fibroids, trying to bring more awareness to the condition.
Well, you are sharing your journey with others.
Yes.
And now you have people writing you privately saying,
yes.
this is this is what's happening to me,
yes.
and this is what I'm going through, or some even husband, you were telling me.
Yes,
they are contacting you.
Yes. That's the most beautiful thing. The men who have gotten in touch with me, and they are asking how they can help their spouses. They're like, wonderful. She's always in pain, how can I help her?
This is really wonderful.
It's really, 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 really beautiful when that happens, because in the messages that I got, there were also a lot of women who were talking about stories of their fibroids leading to their divorces, because they couldn't have children, or they couldn't have more children. Like they had some, but the husband wanted more and then they couldn't, then they ended up divorcing. The husband married someone else and he has more kids with them. So when there were men who were getting in touch who are so supportive and are not prepared to leave their spouse because they have this problem, but would like to know how to help, that was just so beautiful.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
So this is really a conversation in the sense that we are asking each other's questions.
Yes. Yes. I have a million questions actually.
Okay, start.
Yes. So I don't want what I've been experiencing with you in our sessions together to just stay with me, to just benefit me. One thing I know about Zimbabwe is alternative healing methods are looked at many people would immediately think anti-Christian. Okay. You talk about healing, they just go the Christian way. But there are a lot of other things around the Christian way still. Even herbalists, it doesn't mean they are anti-Christ or anything. Herbs were created by God for healing purposes. So there are many, I believe there are many devices that God has given us for healing.
Yes.
And if you're open-minded, you will find them, and there are avenues to still very clean healing. So I would like you to explain your type of healing, or your approach to healing, and how it goes into other spaces that many people ordinarily don't think have anything to do with their healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that the followers need to understand and to see is that we are, it's like, if you consider like a triangle, And if you consider that we're not only flesh and bones. There is much more to us than flesh and bones. So there is the spiritual side, there is an emotional and the mental side, and then there is the physical side, which is the flesh and bones. So if you imagine a triangle, so here you've got the mental, emotional side. On the other side, you've got the spiritual, and then the body, and the bones. I mean, the body, the physical. Then it's like whenever there is a illness, a disease, because it's like something that it was at ease, then goes this is, for whatever reason. It's like this triangle gets skewed. So it's instead of being a nice equilateral triangle, it starts to change shape. So we can have a different way to start the healing. We can enter from the mental, emotional side, we can enter from the physical side, or from the spiritual side. And they are all very, very useful. They can be done together. No one excludes the other. And so, because whenever we have a illness or a disease, it's like we get out of sync with call it the energy, some people call it God, some people call it the higher power, and also with the earth that support us. So we get out of sync. It's like we disconnect. And when we disconnect, the body doesn't go, that follow in a different way.
Yeah.
It becomes not healthy anymore. It could be, of course, the food we eat, the stress, the level of stress at the moment with this so-called pandemic in this country. Now we're going through another lockdown. Many people are not going to work again. So this stress can also be, if it's prolonged and if it's not being dealt with, can create a different ailment. Call it burnout or call it different things.
Yeah.
Because what happens with stress is that all organs stop to work. So, for example, if you were digesting, because if there is a stress that like a lion is coming to you, automatically all organs stop digesting because you need all the strength and the blood going towards hiding or running away or fighting. But if we keep, but then the lion is gone and the body goes back to normal. But if we keep the lion constantly in our psyche, then our organs are gonna be affected. And also what happens is that whenever we go through life on an emotional level through hard stuff, could be anything from grief to, really anything. There is a chemistry that is released in our blood, and this chemistry gets locked into those cells which were not in the best shape at the moment, and it becomes a cellular memory. So, for example, in the 90s there was Deepak Chopra that did all this research, because he started to ask himself, okay, if we have a new liver, all the cells of the liver are new every 6 months, why do we keep have cirrhosis, for example? Was it keeps coming back?
Yeah.
And they found out that actually what happens is that the cellular memory of those cells which were not were healed pass on to the new cells. So that's why we keep repeating and keep being healed. So one way I work is to release those cellular memory, and I use many different ways, and it's working with energy. So that's why it can be for some people scary, because it's not about giving a tablet to a person. It's about, by talking and working with magnets or other ways, it's about helping the person to release that cellular memory so that healing can occur.
And it's a lot of hard work, I must say. It's not as easy as just taking a tablet. It's work.
Yeah, because one thing that we first of all, nobody teaches us that to deal with emotion is something that can be very helpful. and to be aware of what we are going through and recognize what is really happening, it can help us not to hang on to it, but to deal with it and then shelf it. So it's not that emotions are good or bad. What they say actually is that emotion, an entire cycle of an emotion is 90 seconds. Cete. Only 90 seconds.
Then what happens?
So,
we hold on to it.
Have you ever seen like kids? They go in a tantrum, and after 2 minutes,
It's gone.
and they laugh. So, but what happened is that because we become so attached to that emotion, oh, he did me that, oh, she did me that, she spoke bad about me. So we take everything personal. We take everything personal. We become attached, and the story becomes bigger. The more people we talk with, the story gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and therefore then we don't deal with it. And generally there is no forgiveness that goes along with it. And so it becomes like a mountain. And so something that could have been a cycle of 90 seconds, oh, that guy is really a jerk, what he told me, I mean, why should he? Okay, well, it's their problem, it's his projection. Okay, maybe there is something I can change, but let's deal with my side of the story. But it's not...
It's not like that, we hang on to it.
Yes. So, for example, when you were receiving all those comments of your followers about, you did all this one to take advantage, you went public with all your fibroids and so on and so forth, it could have been like, oh, poor me, I'm sorry, I became like this. Or like you did, well, whatever, people just say whatever they have to say, they always talk.
Oh, that is very, very interesting, and I don't know how more people can learn about that, and I do agree with you. The way we deal with our emotions is, can be improved for most of us. So what is your take on fibroids in particular? And perhaps I can tie that to womb health also.
Okay, fibroids generally happens, I mean, it happens with women, and it happens in the womb. So we have to understand that women have got two brains. One is the brain, and one is the emotional brain, and the emotional brain is the womb. So that means that has anything to do with loss. It's like you're substituting oil loss, people who have gone through abortion or had a miscarriage, or could be even the fact of not having children, or not having permitted yourself to say I want a child, or maybe the person wanted a child but they didn't want to be engaged in a relationship. But could be also that there is a big loss, somebody in the family who died, and we still feeling that grief that we have never really dealt with at the length. So can be so many of these possibilities. So I was taking few notes. So this is all on a metaphysical level. So on a physical level, of course, you see the fibroids, and the fibroids is just a symptom and the result. But what brings to that? So that's one of the avenues that people can start to ask, women can start to ask themselves. Okay, what did I really go through? Is there anything? So it's like this must become like a psychological child. Becomes like a psychological child. And we're still keeping feeding this psychological child.
Okay.
So could be also having, let's say you have a child when you were really young, and you have to give this child for adoption, but you've never forgotten about it. That could be also another possibility to be looked to. And then is this concept, before you say something, keep feeding it. And this concept of ruminating, do you know the cow and the hog and they
chewing
drink
the cud.
and they go with
Yes.
So it's something that is fed in that sense. So, because what the organism does actually is that we've got this mass, but it's like when the cell is ready to go crazy. I don't know actually in English how do you say, to go become like cancerous.
Yes.
It's like the body's got this amazing capacity to isolate it, so it grows on and gets protected, so it doesn't affect all the organs that are in the body. And so it becomes a minor issue and not a lethal issue. But if we don't do anything, then it can go, of course, it can go out of control. So it's always nice to have complementary medicine, allopathic medicine, could be a naturopathy, all working together, because then diet as well, that's another big one, we can tackle it in a holistic way.
Yes, this is a very important point, that you do not discredit any other forms of treating oneself, but approaching it as a holistic
yeah, because
way
we
to
are all, I mean, we are all being
yeah.
spiritual, physical, and emotional,
Yeah.
and mental. So it's really, just look at all different, so when people come to me, for example, they need really to have made the choice, I want to heal. Because I'm not giving tablets. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not an herbalist. I'm not giving you herbs. So we are working with different methodologies. But it's beautiful because then you learn about yourself.
Yeah. True. Interesting. That's true. Well, I think we have spoken about everything, and we have summarized it in a nice way. Anyone who wants a lot more information can always look for Antonella. And where do people find you?
Well, we'll put the contacts in the description below, in the Consciousness Rising YouTube channel. For me, they can contact me on 0776 023 013. I'm based in Harare. Or you can call Hope.
Yeah. Or you can also find her
Yes.
on social media pages,
Yes,
Instagram,
Facebook and Instagram, yes.
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 And personally, I would recommend women suffering from fibroids or any other women-related ailments, especially womb-related and all that. I would recommend a holistic approach to healing. And of course, you do not stop consulting your doctors and getting advice from your doctors, but look at healing in a holistic manner. It adds much more to life. It improves a lot of other aspects of your life, not just the physical. So happy healing.
Yes. There is anything that you feel to share of your own journey?
From my poetry book. Yeah, since I don't have my Mbira, I would read, it's great to read something from here. I could read a million poems. And as Antonella was saying, when I wrote this book, it's a lot of women issues, women's stories, let's say, not issues, women's stories. And I tried to tackle them from a different voice and make it creative. I don't know how many poems to read now. Okay, I'll start with from page 17. The book is called Ask Me Again. You can find it on Amazon, or if you're in Harare, of course, you can buy a physical copy. Harare or Live. And it was released on the 7th of February this year. If you go to page 17, there's a poem called One Beg Per Woman. And this poem, maybe let me first read it and then try to guess what I was talking about. There always is one beg per woman. Hers, it seems now threatened to rip apart. It swells and wells with red hot fury at nature. That fresh, friendly bag it once was, is now a full, filthy junkyard, full of unfriendly invaders pushing even into the neighbors. Tiring, weakening, blood-sucking, evil things they are. No space anymore for anything else. After going through a couple of healing sessions, I might have written that poem differently. But it's great I captured it in that moment also. Because this is how a lot of women feel about their fibroids or whatever other kind of tumors they are. So they're fibroid cysts, endometriosis. There are a lot of issues women go through. We should really respect our moms and our sisters and aunts. We go to page 19. There's a poem called Fields. Also try to figure out what I'm talking about before I explain it after. She would have one of her own to help her in a field. If only seed could be picked like the soil in any field. She would pick it, plow it up and seed her field. If only children grew like weeds, wild in a field. Like birds that need not work in any field. Can you guess what I'm talking about? Anyway, I could go on and on.
I would like just to finish by saying, referring to that fresh, friendly bag it once was, is now a full, filthy junkyard, full of unfriendly invaders, pushing even into the neighborhood. Tiring, weakening, blood-sucking evil things they are. No space anymore for anything else. There is space for something else, and the space for something else is about you embrace them. And when I say you embrace them, there is no possibility of healing if we fight something. There is not. So you just embrace for what they are. They are here to teach you a message. We don't know exactly what it is, but the more you start to listen, the more you start to massage your belly, you start to get in contact. What is it that I have to learn now? Yeah. Just forget about why me.
Yes.
Because it's why not.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even in the Christian perspective, there's that verse in Corinthians, Lord help me, I don't remember where exactly, and I don't remember the exact wording, but it says something like, God will not give you a trial that you cannot handle. And throughout Christianity also, why me is not encouraged. Then who would you have said this should have gone to this person and not you? And yes, looking at something and saying, what can I learn from it? What can I profit from it? What is it here for? Those are very, very positive ways of looking at any challenges that we have in our lives. But it's work. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, you can take it as being fascinated about knowing yourself at a deeper level. Because we are not flesh and bones, remember? And with this one, we close. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for coming to Consciousness Rising.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
We could go on talking forever and ever.
Yeah, and maybe we can do another one on women things, because there's so much to say about that.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much to say that we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you once again. Please, if you share the conversation if you like it, and subscribe to our channels. Well, Hope you probably know she's on Instagram mostly.
Yeah.
And then it's hopemasike.co.zw website, and the book is here, and music you'll find it also there. And the music you'll hear it another day. Another day. Thank you very much. To the next. Bye.